Good morning, all you vloggers. I just woke up. It's 6 a.m. and I need to get ready for my day as a medical virology PhD student at the University of Pretoria. Watch this space. I absolutely love waking up to this. My two babies still snoozing, Kiara and Sally. They are extremely energetic dogs, nice and fat. However, it seems this morning they decided to snooze an extra 10 minutes. As a medical scientist, it's always important to wear the correct clothing. So today I will be working in the lab wearing closed shoes, a jean, and a shirt. And today I specifically chosen a shirt that we usually wear on Fridays to show our support during the COVID pandemic. It is a very special shirt as it was made specifically for our Center for Viral Zoonosis. I've got my yogi sip and I'm ready to go to the university now. Now that I've finally made it to the Center for Viral Zoonosis, I need to do a health app that basically states that I am safe for other people to be around with, as I'm not showing any COVID tests. Unfortunately, I'm not registered yet. As I'm going into my 4th year, I need to motivate the university committee to allow me to study my 4th year, as a PhD degree is only 3 years. So I don't have access to the center just yet, so I need to wait for someone to come open for me. Once I'm inside the center, you have to monitor your temperature and also list whether you've got any symptoms. So let's quickly do my name, Elise Bonnet, we're at the top. So my app result on WhatsApp is low. Let's quickly see what my temperature is. 36.2, so 36.2. Redness of the eyes, no. Nausea or vomiting, no. Diarrhea, no. And fatigue, no. So I am safe to enter. And then I just mark myself as being here. There. Elise Bonnet. Okay, cool. Now I can show you guys what I do on a daily basis at work. However, I will tell you what each lab is a bit later on. We have some more students. And then my office with all the pretty ladies. We are all PhD candidates, and we have Lebo, that is our BSL3 manager. I will explain to you guys what a BSL3 manager is a bit later. So the first thing I usually do in the mornings is I always do a bit of admin, checking my emails. Let's quickly see if I have anything. I've got a few emails that I need to open. It seems like I've got a few from my professor. It's not always fun and games. Once you see an email from your professor, you start stressing a bit. So yeah, I'm quickly gonna check my emails. And as I told you, I need to write a motivation for a 4th year of study. And then I also need to submit a progress report of my work I've done in the past 3 years to the research committee, so that I can just see that I'm actually doing something. And then with the emails, I'm going to enjoy my breakfast, my yogi sip. I usually don't eat at home. I just bring something to eat while I'm doing admin. So I'm still busy with my admin, but I think it's quite important to have some friend time and a coffee break. So this is one of my best friends, Jessica. She's also from my hometown, Bloemfontein, and I'm so glad that we're both studying here. Okay. So this is the vicinity where most of the students come to have lunch, just to have a break, talk to each other a bit. And there's our little cafe. It was quite big before COVID, but unfortunately we only have a small little cafe. Yeah, let's see what we're gonna order. Hi ma'am, how are you? Sorry, I'm just filming you for a project that I'm doing. What coffees do you have?
Coffees, I have a cappuccino, cafe latte, Americano coffee, and also hot chocolate.
Do you have any freezers?
Yes,
Okay.
freezer.
Which freezer? Okay, can I please get a coffee freezer and
Me as well, please.
two coffee freezers? So my tummy is full of coffee and my brain is a bit better now. I still have a lot of admin to complete today. However, I think it's more exciting to show you guys what I do in the labs and the different type of labs we have. I'm going to start with showing you guys the BSL3. So the BSL3 is a lab where we have to wear biohazardous suits to protect ourselves from viruses. We work with live viruses in that lab, so we are not able to work in it without authorization and specific pre-checks that have to be done. And as I explained this morning, Level is the BSL3 manager, so she monitors us while we're in there with cameras. Okay, let's quickly have a look. Okay, so the first lab, we need card authorization, as this is the pathway you take to our freezer room where all live viruses are kept, and also cell culture. So let me give you guys a quick tour of that. Okay, so I am in one of many labs. This one is the cell culture lab. So basically what we do in a cell culture lab is we make cells. So to be able to grow live virus, we need cells, animal cells, human cells, monkey cells, with whatever you need to be able to grow your virus with. So it seems like the light doesn't work in here, so let's just see in the dark. So we have to work in biosafety cabinets, as can be seen here. We use biosafety cabinets to keep your sample clean, and also to protect yourself from infection. It's very important to work very sterile, as you don't want any contamination in your cells. After we put the cells into flasks, we put it in an incubator, 37 degrees Celsius, until cells are grown enough to be able to use to grow for live virus. And that's basically what I can explain to you. This is the access door to our freezer room. The freezer room contains many -80 degrees freezers to help keep viruses alive and also to store animal samples. So you need a PIN to be able to get into there. It's also authorized, as only certain people are able to work with viruses. So let's quickly put the PIN in. It seems it is 3780Z. You guys must please forget that PIN, as we don't want you guys to get into our precious samples. Okay, in we go. So here's our donning station. You need to wear gloves, a folio gown, and also a face mask, a face shield, to be able to go into the freezer room. As we are also working with frozen virus, it's quite important to keep yourself safe and the sample. And here we are in our own ice age. It's quite cold in here. But as you can see, there's many freezers, lots of viruses and lots of samples. I can just give you a taste of what it looks like inside. And there you can see it looks like snow all over, but each rack has about 21 boxes containing viruses and animal samples and cell culture. Closing these freezers are quite difficult as there's lots of ice in all the sides of the freezer, so you basically have to put some force into it and then be able to latch it. Okay, so this is basically our freezer room, and now it's time to show you guys the BSL3, which I think is one of the most exciting labs there is. Behold the magnificent BSL3 lab. In this lab, we work with live viruses, so it's very important to protect ourselves. We usually wear marshmallow suit, which I like to call. Inside the lab, we get very tired, yet it's very excited in there. The maximum amount of hours we can spend in there is 5 hours, but after a while, you get very hungry and your bladder gets very full. We also need card access. Let's quickly open it. And now we are in the autoclave room. So basically what an autoclave does, it sterilizes all the waste that comes out of the BSL3 so that we can throw it away safely. It kills all viruses on all organisms that you don't want running around outside of the lab. So this here is where we get changed into our scrubs. So, our scrubs, here is a whole bunch of them. We put on this top and we wear some pants. These things look very wrinkled because they never get ironed, and if you want to put them in for the wash, here's our laundry basket, which is quite full. We need to wash. So once you're in your scrubs, you are ready to go into the shower room. So in the shower room, you have to put on your Tyvek. So it doesn't look like there's any Tyveks yet. Just keep in mind that this is basically all of our second days back from holiday, so we haven't really started with any laboratory work. You wear Tyveks and you wear a folio gown, and you have to wear a biohazardous hood like this. And then also you need an oxygen supply to make sure that you don't suffocate in there. We call these respirators, PAPers. It makes sure that oxygen gets to you inside the hood. And yeah, I can't really show you much more. This is the entry into the BSL3. As you can see, there's a biosafety cabinet where we also work with live viruses. And then there's another lab when you go in where we work with viruses and cell culture, where we try and grow viruses. So this is our PCR room where we do polymerase chain reactions. It basically means that you are making more copies of a piece of fragment of the virus's DNA. Unfortunately, I'm not really doing any lab work today, as it's my second day only, and I really haven't sorted out my life for this year yet. But we basically make master mixes for the amount of reactions that we're going to use. That basically includes enzymes that will start your reaction, and it will also make sure that multiple copies of a fragment is made. So after you've done that, you can add your genetic material, which is done in the entomology lab. Just put a light on. So, in our program, we also work with mosquitoes. So, we named this lab the entomology lab. This is usually where we identify our mosquitoes. Most of our mosquito samples are stored in this minus 80 degrees freezer. In here, we also wear a folio gown and gloves, and then also a biosafety cabinet, where you also try and protect yourself and your sample from contamination. If you're working with control, so control is basically a very strong concentration of the virus's DNA. So you use that in a reaction to make sure that if you get any result, that you can compare it to the positive control, just to make sure that your reaction worked. So you add your control DNA in here, and then we are on our way to the PostPCR room. Here we have the PostPCR room, where we work with amplicons that are made. That just means the extra DNA fragments that were made during a reaction. So we work with nested reactions. So what that means is we have a first round. So in the first round, you add your samples with the DNA, and this will then make a few amplicons of the virus's DNA. However, sometimes it's not sensitive enough and it doesn't produce enough of the amplicons, so that's why you do a second reaction, and we call that a nested reaction. For a nested reaction, we use a real-time PCR machine. How real-time works is you've got your samples and you label them, and as the reaction goes along, these lines will start coming up if you have positive animal or human samples. As you can see, that is the control line. So you can see that all these that came up is actually positive because it looks the same and it has the same value as the control. So the last lab I'm showing you guys today is the molecular lab. You also need to wear protective clothing to protect yourself and the samples that you're working with. So inside, your PPE includes a folio gown, some gloves, and in all the labs we work in, you also need shoes and closed long pants. So basically what we do in the molecular lab is we try and visualize the products that we saw on the real-time PCR machine to actually make sure that it's a valid result. So how we do this is we make a gel with wells in it at the top. The gel it kind of feels like gelatin. So you add your samples into each well, and then you are able to run it on a gel electrophoresis bath where there's a current that goes through the gel and it will separate your DNA fragments. And then lastly, you put your gel in a gel dock. This machine basically visualizes your product, makes it able for you to see what's going on, and then you can check on the software it uses. So this is a picture that I took for one of my positive animal samples. As you can see, you always need to include a positive so that you can compare your result and make sure that it's actually a true positive and not a negative. And then here's my sample. You can see it made a nice thick band, and this band is at about 500 base pairs. So what it basically means that it's 550 base pairs long of the DNA fragment that you were able to amplify. So every student needs to have some lunch, and I've got the perfect student food that I always keep in my drawer. Sometimes I actually have nice food, but most of the time I eat cardboard like 2-minute noodles. While I eat my food, I like watching some series like Game of Thrones, or I go on Instagram for a while just to relax my mind a bit. And yeah, that is what I do before I go back to the labs. I constantly get asked what my PhD project is all about, and I never know how to answer in layman's terms, so here it goes. I work with alpha viruses, which consist of over 32 species. I specifically focus on 5 of them that occur in South Africa. The aim of my project is surveillance of humans, animals, and mosquitoes using various methods, including serology, where antibodies are involved, molecular techniques, where you work with the genetic material of the virus, and lastly, cell culture, in which you try very hard to grow more virus in animal cell lines in order to eventually obtain the whole genome of the virus. So the genome of a virus is all the genetic material that the virus is composed of. Lastly, because the viruses I work with have very limited information concerning their geographical distribution and whether animals and humans actually get sick, I need to develop tests where I can confirm that humans and animals can be infected. It's finally 4 o'clock and I'm very excited to head home. I'm waiting for my Uber now, as unfortunately my car is in forced service and I'll only be getting it back tomorrow. So, what's next on my agenda now that the lab day is over, you may ask? Well, I enjoy doing some exercise just to get rid of some of the frustrations I might have picked up during the day at the lab. I enjoy going for walks or swim, anything that gets the serotonin running in my brain again. And yeah, that's basically a day in the life of Elise, and I hope to see you guys soon.